Tell me, friends.
Sir, you are not. You have not added this subject in the classroom, sir. Classroom.
We added, no, we added. You haven't
Added,
get.
sir.
No, we
Yes,
added in
sir, you
the
added.
before.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. I will check once.
Before I'm going to outstation, just I added and I put all the videos uploaded and assignment also I kept. Again, I will check and we will see. Friends, once again, it is a great joy for us to learn a very important subject, women in religion and society. It is very, very important. So whenever whenever I ask a question or when you have a question, and please feel free to ask, and we should have a meaningful discussion. Then we can have a better understanding. Now, last two classes, as you know, we just studied about various terms and important concepts which are very much connected to the feminist understanding women in religion society. This is our third class, and 5 more classes are there. I hope we all enjoy this subject, and we will be having a meaningful discussion class by class when we move further. Now today I am going to start second chapter. Second chapter in our subject, women in Hinduism. Women in Hinduism. So, as we earlier, as I mentioned, we are learning 3 different aspects in this subject. First is terms and concepts concerning women in religion and society. That is the introductory part. Not only that, it is a kind of brief understanding about the subject. Then we are going to deal with the second section. The second section is all about women in Indic religion. Women in Indic religion. Women in Indic religion. Then whenever we just somebody
We cannot hear, sir. Sir, you are muted, sir. Sir, your device is muted. We cannot hear, sir. You have muted your.
Sir, we're not hearing.
sorry friends.
Sir, we can't able to hear.
Sorry. Okay. Now, just we are. I am starting today the second chapter. Second chapter, we are going to discuss about women in Hinduism. Then, when we see our subject outline, first chapter talking about terms and important concepts which are very much connected to women, feminist understanding, women in religion and society. That is our introductory part. We already dealt in 2 classes. The first chapter already over. Today I'm going to start second chapter. Second chapter is all about women in Hinduism. So in our subject curriculum, second section talks about women in Indic religions. Women in Indic religions. Indic religions means the religions which are started in India. What are the religions? Can you just give what are the religions which are started in Indian land? Friends, what are the religions which are started in Indian land?
Sir, Buddhism,
Buddhism, good.
Hinduism,
Hinduism,
Jainism,
Jainism,
Sikhism.
very good. And I appreciate Jasper Singh. Good. 4 religions. These 4 religions are called Indic religions. These religions have been started on Indian land in different contexts and different time span. Now today we are going to see women in Hinduism. Hinduism, how we can understand Hinduism, the word concept. It is a kind of complex word, and it has a different connotations and different ideas are included in the word Hinduism. To give a brief understanding, Hinduism known as religion of Aryans. Many people still they believe, scholars also just they are supporting this view. They Hinduism known as religion of Aryans. Who are these Aryans? Aryans were Indo-European community people. They are belong to Indo-European community. And BC or 2000 of 3000 years and before Indus Valley civilization. And what happened? Then one big migration community, they traveled to India through Afghanistan mountain and Himalayan regions. One big community from Indo-European group, they traveled to India and they established themselves. They are known as Aryans. So it has a vast history. But in our subject, it is connecting to Hinduism. I am trying to give a brief gist here. Hinduism known as a religion of Aryans, that is one aspect. The second thing is Hinduism also known as the spiritual path of Indians. Many people say that Hinduism is nothing but spiritual path of Indians. The third one is Sanatana Dharma. You might be hearing this word again and again since last 3 months or 4 months. Where in Tamil Nadu, the Udayanidhi Stalin, the son of Chief Minister, he made a radical statement against Sanatana Dharma, that means Hinduism. He said that in the public meeting, he just said that Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism is like a dengue or other contagious disease which gives a kind of negativity to the community. We must just control like dengue and other diseases. Sanatana Dharma is also like that. Because of that, the entire India was under the fire, and so many things have been just came up. Even Supreme Court also indirectly supported to the views of Hindus. So it was a big issue. So Sanatana Dharma means what? Eternal religion. Dharma means religion or path or a way. Dharma. Sanatana means eternal. So it is called as a Hinduism named as a Sanatana Dharma. That is also one aspect. Hinduism known as a religion of Aryans. Hinduism known as the spiritual path of Indians. Hinduism also known as Sanatana Dharma. When we discuss about Hinduism in academic discussion like our class and our studies, we call it Hinduism is a major religion of India. Hinduism is a major religion of India. So it got a very very prime position in India because most of the people are belong to Hinduism only. That is one aspect. And I guess another aspect is Hinduism is all about ancient religion and mother of all religion. Now, many of Hindu scholars, many of Hindu pundits, many of Hindu priests, many of Hindu supporting groups, they are saying that Hinduism is ancient religion and the mother of all religions. All these aspects are connecting to the word Hinduism. So there were many, there were many ideas are there, but our brief understanding, I would like to bring these elements to our discussion. Okay. Friends, are you with me? Yeah. Okay. Now, I am going to another dimension. What are the characteristics of Hinduism? What are the characteristics of Hinduism? Hinduism has a progressive kind of character. Progressive kind of character. Progressive means what? Keep changing. Keep changing. We can't see Hinduism in a kind of set position. When you observe, things have been keep changing. So it has a kind of characteristic, kind of keep changing characteristic. So we call it progressive religion. Again, some scholars and also some research, religion research councils, they suggested one name for Hinduism. Hinduism, a kind of an umbrella religion. That means what? Umbrella means what? Umbrella gives a kind of a protection when rain comes, or when also hot sun is there. Some people go to the hot sun by taking umbrella, by taking the support. Hello? Is there any query? Friends, is there anything to share? Okay. Hinduism, Hinduism a kind of an umbrella religion. That means it accommodates all religions. All religions. That is another important characteristic we can see in the religion of Hinduism. The third characteristic is it's a complex religion. Complex means very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand. So Hinduism, when we see, and it is very difficult, very complex, and all things come together, no clarity and interconnected. There is no much variation between differentiation between different ideologies and aspects. So completely it is a kind of complex in nature. Then again, when we see Hinduism can be identified as a religion without a founder. Religion without a founder. All these aspects are characteristics of Hinduism. Progressive religion, an umbrella religion, it accommodates all religions. A complex religion, very difficult to understand. Religion without a founder. That's what many Hindu gurus, many Petradipadis and Hindu priests they are saying, and all religions have a founder. All religions have a founder. That means each and every religion started by founder. But Hinduism doesn't have a founder. Hindu religion doesn't have a founder because it is a eternal religion. So it originated from eternal or eternity. So such a way, they are just promoting Hinduism as a kind of ancient religion. So coming to the another aspect, Hinduism's nature of Hinduism. When we see Hinduism or Hindu religion has a peculiar nature. So what what are the characteristics we saw, and what is the nature of religion of Hindus or Hinduism. Well, we can see some of the important concepts. Hinduism has a monotheistic concept, or Hinduism has a monotheistic nature. That means one God concept. Hinduism has two kinds of Hinduism. In Hinduism itself, we can see two major sections of Hinduism. One is classical or philosophical Hinduism. Second one is village or folk Hinduism. When we see classical or philosophical Hinduism, there is a concept like monotheistic concept. Monotheistic concept means what? Believing in one God. Believing in one God. For example, when we see Upanishads, in Upanishads, we can see the idea of Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. That means I am Brahman or Paramatman. Brahman means what? Supreme Spirit, ultimate reality. That is the understanding of monotheism in Hinduism. So, folk or village Hinduism, they don't go to the such level. There is a one Supreme Paramatma, and we are belong to Paramatma. There is no need of idol. There is no need of any other object. We can directly connect it to the Paramatma. That is the philosophical Hinduism. Coming to the folk Hinduism or village Hinduism, they don't have such understanding. They only focus on object. They believe object as a manifestation of God. So they worship the objects. That is the difference between philosophical Hinduism and classical Hinduism. So one nature of Hinduism is monotheistic, believe in one God. That concept we can see in the Upanishads. Second nature of Hinduism or Hindu religion is that polytheistic nature. Polytheistic means many gods concept. Many gods. They believe more than one God. Poly means many. Theos means God. Polytheistic means many gods concept. That is also one of the nature of Hindu religion. The third one is pantheistic nature. Hinduism has a pantheistic nature. Pan means in Greek all. Pan means in Greek all. Pantheistic means what? They believe that all things are manifestation of God. That means if I hold a pen, pen has a kind of soul. Pen has a manifestation of God. That's what it is existed. That is their understanding. So Hinduism or Hindu religion has a pantheistic in nature. Then fourth one, final one is atheistic in nature. Hinduism also has atheistic in nature. Very interesting. Now, when we see Buddhism and Jainism, Buddhism and Jainism, when we look at their nature, characteristics, belief systems, and other aspects, what we can see, they don't have a kind of God concept. They don't have a kind of God concept. Because of that nature, they declare themselves as atheistic natures, atheistic religion. That means religion without God. Without God, how they can be called as religions? Or why we are calling them as religions? What are those religions? Buddhism and Jainism. Because they have many followers. Because of their followers, we are calling them as a religion or religions. They have some principles. They have some belief systems. They have some rituals. They have some practices. Because of all the elements, usually we see in the religion, though Buddhism, Jainism doesn't have a kind of God concept, all other elements connecting to religion are there. So we are calling them as religions. So Hinduism has a kind of atheistic nature by accommodating these two religions within Hinduism. That is the main idea. Hinduism accommodating two religions. What religions? Buddhism and Jainism. So it is accommodating those religions. So it has a atheistic nature. So these are the important things you need to understand. We saw what is the word, what is the idea behind the word Hinduism. That is one important concept we discussed in few minutes ago. Second one is characteristics of Hinduism. What kind of characteristics we can see in Hindu religion? That is, we discussed that aspect. The another aspect is its nature. What kind of nature Hindu religion has? Monotheistic nature, polytheistic nature, pantheistic nature, atheistic nature. So that is the another important idea in the Hinduism. Friends, do you have any questions or any clarifications, or you got the idea? Friends,
Yes, sir. I understand it.
okay.
Sir, but
Can I-
when we check in Google about Hinduism,
Okay.
it is oldest religion in the
Yeah.
world, sir.
Yeah. Actually, what happened? No, it is a kind of logical theory they are propagating now. What happened? They are saying Hindu religion doesn't have a founder, and all other religions have a founder. That means they have started certain point of time. Somebody started other religions, but Hinduism doesn't have a founder. Since it doesn't have a founder, how it was originated? When we ask question, they are saying that it has a eternal connectivity. How it has a eternal connectivity? If we ask the question again to them, they are telling when ancient munis, ancient sages, ancient gurus, when they are searching for the truth, they completely they focused on Supreme Spirit, and by meditating and by focusing their soul, mind, body towards Supreme Spirit. When they were doing deep meditation, and what happened? They were directly connected to the Supreme Spirit, that means Paramatma or Brahman or ultimate reality. Then what happened? They received some kind of revelation, two kinds of revelation. One is Shruti, second one is Smriti. Shruti means what? That which is heard. When the ancient saints are doing meditation and they were connected to the Supreme Reality, they could hear the voice from Supreme Reality. That is called what? That is called Shruti scripture. That means that which is heard. Second one is what? Smriti. Shruti, S-R-U-T-I, Shruti, that which is heard. Second one is Smriti, Smaran. Smriti means what? That which is remembered. After their meditation, after they got revelation, they wanted to put all the revelation which they received into writing. Then what happened? They could write something that is called Smriti scriptures. Itihasa, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Purana, all Upanishads, all things are called as a Smriti literature. Shruti, that means what they heard. That Shruti literature can be identified as a four Vedas. 4 Vedas. That's what they are giving a kind of defensive argument to the world by saying that our religion has an eternal origin, so it is oldest religion. It is simply a developing kind of logic, and through logic, they are trying to defend their religion as a supreme. That is the main idea. Now coming to the our further discussion, 3 main eras. That means 3 main time periods we can see in the development of Hindu religion. Whenever we talk about Hindu religion, friends, very vast literature is available nowadays. Friends, I'm not audible, or someone is saying, put message, my voice is so low.
No, sir, you're audible and visible.
Audible, no?
Yes,
Both,
sir.
sir. Both
Okay.
audible and visible.
Okay. Now, what happened? 3 main eras or time periods are there in Hinduism. So, when we see those time periods, because of those time aspects, time framework, Hinduism developed step by step. So, we are going to see those areas. Every religion have a significant phases in their religion. These time frames always provide crucial information of a particular religion. That means what? These time frames gives a clarity, a clear picture to understand what Hindu religion is all about. So we are going to see those elements. Now, pre-Vedic period. Pre-Vedic period. When we call it pre-Vedic period, according to Hindu scholars, according to the Hindu thinkers, they have just divided the time or to understand Hinduism a kind of pre-Vedic period. Pre-Vedic period. As the time falls between 3000 BC and 1500 BC. 3000 BC and 1500 BC. This period refers to the time before the composition of Vedas. That's what they're giving their logical argument. This period refers to the time before the composition of Vedas. There were some practices and religious belief systems before the Aryans' arrival to India. That means what? As I mentioned earlier, Aryans were a community belong to Indo-European migrated group. They were traveled to India 1500 BCE to 2000 BCE. That time, India was already flourished by Hindu civilization, Indus Valley civilization. They came, they established their culture, they established their religion, they became identified as Aryans. That was the main idea here. Now, pre-Vedic period. In pre-Vedic period, Vedas were not composed. That's what we are calling pre-Vedic. That means the time which is set before the Vedas. So, it was identified as a pre-Vedic. That time, there was no composition of Vedas. Then, what were there? What were the elements we can see in that time? There were some practices and religious belief systems before the Aryan arrival to India. That means there was indigenous community, or there were some people groups who are living in India. For example, Adivasis. Adivasis are called as, or either Adivasis are identified as ancient tribal group in India. They are the people of Indian land. That's what sociologists and historians of Indian nation, they always talk about these aspects. Dravidians were there. One group were called as a Dravidians. Second group were called as a Adivasis. And the other groups are called as a various tribal groups. So these people are belong to the land India. These people have a practices and some belief systems we can see in the pre-Vedic time period. And what was the other dimension which we can see in pre-Vedic period? The main idea of belief system was that animism. Did they worship any god in pre-Vedic period? And there was no concept of God concept, but they have a kind of idea which gives a picture of their belief system called as animism or animist. Animist means believing in supernatural spirits. That means they believed the spirits which they are not able to see. So this idea they got from Panchabhutas. Panchabhutas means five five natural forces. That is, those are they are fire, Agni, we will call it, wind, Vayu, we will call it, and earth, Prithvi, we call it earth as Prithvi, and we call it sky as a Gagan, or that is the Gagan or Akash, and we call it and Jal, water. So all these forces or these natural forces are very powerful. Nobody can just go against them because they have such a forces. They control each and everything. So through the belief in natural forces, they got a kind of idea of some supernatural spirits are there, which are invisible. They are controlling entire human life or entire creation. That is the idea. Oh, in pre-Vedic time, we can see the belief system is a kind of animistic belief system. That means they only believed in supernatural spirits. That's what we can understand that context. There was a belief system of worshipping ancestors. Some people groups they used to worship ancestors. That was the context over there. Now, when we are just researching, when we are doing our research in religions and all, there are different research divisions are emerged in modern system, archaeological division and anthropological division. Archaeological division, they visit the sites, they observe the sites, they study the sites, they will come up with some findings, and according to the findings, they will calculate the time and they will just declare and what kind of history that religion has. So archaeological division, and again another division to understand the study of religion is anthropological branch or division, study about human beings, culture, society, and their belief systems. Because of these divisions, what are the things we are discussing concerning to pre-Vedic period and all these aspects, we can just speculating to understand these are the elements which happened in the pre-Vedic time. That's what our main understanding is in our discussion. So only archaeological, anthropological, and literary evidences are providing less evidences. Most of the analysis was speculative in nature. That's what I was telling. We are speculating. That means this might have happened. This might have occurred. This was the reality. This might have there in those days. That was speculation. We are trying to find out the origin of Hindu religion. So in pre-Vedic time, there were the people, they have a different belief systems. According to some sources, women were actively involved in domestic, communal, animal husbandry, agriculture, and religious matters. Friends, because women are connected to Hinduism, we are just studying women in Hinduism as a second chapter. Now we are coming to the understanding of women in Hinduism, especially in pre-Vedic time. Pre-Vedic time, as I mentioned earlier, there were no Vedas, there were communities, they were completely animist, they do not have any kind of objective worship, they always feel some supernatural spirits surrounded by them, and also they were controlling the entire creation. So they used to worship the spirits, and they used to give reverence to the spirits. So such understanding, they were living in that context. Now coming to the woman's life in pre-Vedic time, according to some sources, women were actively involved in domestic activities. That means homework, home-centered work. They were actively involved in the homework and all the domestic work. Not only that, communal work in the sense they used to part of community worship and community or religious celebrations, and all. Women took very active part in communal celebrations. Not only that, they were actively involved in animal husbandry, grazing the animals and taking care of the animals, and just giving the nourishment to the animal, and for the growth of animal. So they were actively involved in shepherding the cattle and flocks. That also women were actively involved. And again, agriculture, we know, then just doing agriculture work and all these things. So in pre-Vedic time, women had much freedom to actively participate in all the aspects of human society. That means they were actively involved in domestic help, they were actively involved in communal celebrations, they were actively involved in animal husbandry, they were actively involved in agriculture and religious matters. So here we can see women had a very good freedom, and they were actively involved in those areas. So that's what now the feminist organizations and feminist movements which are coming and which are growing day by day throughout the India and throughout the world from various contexts, and they're saying that we need freedom, we want our rights, So as a theological students, as a Bible learners, and as a believers, and as a followers of Jesus Christ, we must develop a holistic perspective towards women. So we should give a proper respect and proper space to uplift the women. So our ministry will be fruitful, because women have much role to play in Christian ministry. Women have much responsibility to carry in Christian ministry. When we are going further, we can see the ministerial perspective and Christian perspective, women in Christianity. That section we completely going to discuss how we can use or how we can give a proper space to women so that our Lord will be glorified, our Christian ministry will be fruitful in days to come. So in previous time, there was much freedom to the women. Then three important sites. That means anthropological division, archaeological division. They studied some important sites, places, and they analyzed the entire situation by studying some sources, and they are providing these important information to us. Three important sites like Mehergarh, megalithic, and chalcolithic for giving evidences for equal status of women in the society. There were some places. Those places are called connected to some particular time. So Mehergarh, that is one site. Megalithic place, that is one site context, and chalcolithic, that is one context. Some places are connected to that context. So these sites, these places are giving some evidences, and those evidences we can see that women had equal status in the society. And we know one of the ancient and oldest university which is established in India, that is named as Nalanda. And Nalanda University has a kind of important research division. So they did some excavations. That means they went and studied some sites, and they came up with some important supported information. So those information also very important to understand pre-Vedic time. Then three important rituals in pre-Vedic time. There were three important rituals. The community which were connected to pre-Vedic time, they were animists. As I said, as I mentioned earlier, they were believing just supernatural spirits and all. So they used to celebrate three festivals. One is fertility rituals. Fertility means productivity. That means when we sow some seeds, and again the crop will come, the new kind of the plantation will come, germs will come, and germination will come. Through germination, plant grows, and again plant will give a fruits. Fertility means productivity. When we sow some seeds, the earth will provide fruits through process. Again, in the human society, fertility means a kind of just giving birth to another generation. That means carrying out the generation. So they have a kind of rituals. In this ritual, the main idea is that to have a productivity or to have a kind of fruitful life in their society. So they used to worship, they used to celebrate some rituals. In that context, they used to worship the earth as a mother for the fertility, and also they used to celebrate some supernatural beings which were responsible for human generation process. So that is one ritual. Second one is nature worship. As I mentioned earlier, they believe they are believing in supernatural spirit, and they are believing also every object in this creation, everything which is there in the creation, which is the part of creation, are filled by spirits, are influenced by spirits. Because of that, they used to worship the nature. Again, animistic. Some people used to believe completely sober natural elements. These are the rituals they used to have in the pre-Vedic time. So, women presence was very much prevalent. That means in pre-Vedic time, we can see that women had much freedom, women had much liberty, women had much a kind of free will status. They were actively involved. So, such context, talking and such context giving an idea, women are also equal to men. So that concept we should bring to our discussion, and we should have a proper understanding towards women and women's participation in religion and society. Then another dimension, when we see, there were some myths. Myths means the stories without logic and all. Myths, stories were transmitted from one generation to another by oral traditions. That means what? There were so many stories, different stories concerning some tribal group belief systems and all. So we can see through the myths and stories, they were completely transmitted from mouth to mouth. That means grandfathers told to parents, parents told to their children are going to teach their children. So from one generation to another generation, oral transmission happened. So some of the myths and stories also were giving some important information concerning this this understanding. Coming to the second time period, that is called Vedic period. Second time period, that is called Vedic period. First we discussed about pre-Vedic period. In pre-Vedic period, Vedas were not there. Aryans also not came to India, and there was completely one particular group, and they were doing their own belief systems, and they are following their own patterns. So they were enemies. So they were doing such kind of rituals and all. But women had a freedom. Coming to the Vedic period time span 1500 BC to 500 BC. That means almost like 1000 years. Almost like 1000 years. What happened here? Composition of four Vedas and Varna and systems. Composition of four Vedas. What are they? Anyone? Vedas are four. What are they?
Hello,
Samaveda, Guru Veda, Yajurveda.
Yajurveda and
Atharva Veda.
Those
Very
things are-
good. Four Vedas are there. Composition of
Samaveda,
four Vedas. Rigveda, Yajurveda.
Samaveda, Guru Veda, Yajurveda.
Atharna Veda.
Very good, very good.
Okay.
So what happened? I appreciate that. So what happened? This Indo-European community from Asian subcontinent, they traveled through Himalayan region, Afghanistan mountain, and they came and they found that there was a civilization called Indus Valley civilization, and the land was very fertile. The water resources are very much available. Very good soil is there for plantation, agriculture, for cattle. They established themselves. After some centuries, out of the time period, they were the top, or they were the main position in Indian society. They were known as, or they are known as Aryans. Now they composed four Vedas, as you mentioned their names, and Varna. Varna, actually, the word Varna gives an idea of color. Varna means color. But in our context, Varna means caste. Varna means caste. So Aryan society divided entire Indian society into 4 levels of people groups. 4 levels. What are they? 4 castes, main castes? Anyone? In Aryan society, there were 4 important castes are there.
Brahmanas,
What were
Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras.
Very good. Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas,
Vai-
and Shudras.
Shudras.
According
So
their sources, Brahmanas were born from out of Brahma's head. That means creator. So head is in top position, so they are in top. And again coming to the second group, Kshatriyas, they were born out of Brahma's shoulders. Shoulders represents power. So they are rulers, they are administrators. They are the people who control, who carry the power and all. Coming to the third group, namely Vaishyas, they just born out of creator or Brahma's navel. Navel in the sense where stomach, navel situated in the stomach, which is very crucial organ when we were in the mother's womb. From mother's digestive system, that the connectivity, the navel cord. When we born, they will cut the navel cord, something like that. So it is very crucial organ. So Vaishyas were born out of Brahma's navel, and so they are center in the society. Not only that, they are engaged in business and business people. And fourth one is Shudras. Shudra community or people group were born out of Brahma's feet and all. So Aryans, they did this kind of a structure, and they divided the society. That's what, no? The recently Udayanidhi Stalin had a kind of argument and made a radical statement. We should remove Sanatana Dharma from our Indian land. Because of Sanatana Dharma, our Indian society divided into different groups. We don't have any community or brotherhood kind of relationships. All the community things, all the community conflicts, community wars, community misunderstandings happening because of the Sanatana Dharma. That's what he pointed out, the caste system in the name of Sanatana Dharma. That's what I mentioned earlier. So these are the things. In Vedic period, Vedas were composed, Varna system was completely organized. Main rituals were sacrificial rituals. In pre-Vedic time, we have fertility rituals, nature worship, and mystic. When we come to the Vedic time, they used to give sacrifices. That means the level of worship is increased. The level of worship is upgraded. They came to one understanding that one life should be sacrificed to gain benefits and power. So they used to give sacrifice. So sacrificial rituals are very, very important in Vedic period. Many hymns were written and dedicated to many gods. During this time, many gods concept have come. During this time, many gods concept have come. All these are connected to the different sites. When we see Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and other sites, and we can have a kind of sources. Stone sources are there, pottery, clay pot sources are there, some kind of structural sources are there. Because of these sources, archaeologists, anthropologists, historians are analyzing what kind of society was there in Vedic period. Through their survey and research, we are discussing these elements. Now, in Vedic period, again, we are going to see two time spans within the Vedic period. One is early Vedic period, the time span between 1500 and 1000 called as a early Vedic period. Here we can see progress of formation of Vedic society and activities of pastoral and agricultural society. Vedic period has two divisions. One division named as early Vedic time, 500 years. Early Vedic time span was 500 years. In 500 years, the formation of Vedic society is one main thing. Second one is the agriculture system and grazing the animals, shepherding the cattle, are that is the main elements are there. Coming to the second time period within the Vedic period called as later Vedic period, 1000 BC to 500 BC. Again, early Vedic period have 500 years span of time. Later Vedic period has 500 years span of time. So in 500 years, what happened? 3 Vedas, that means excluding Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda were composed. The first Veda which was composed was that Rig Veda. So after that, later Vedic time, only 3 Vedas composed. That means early Vedic time, 1 Veda, Rig Veda only was composed. Later Vedic period, within the span of 500 years, 3 Vedas, excluding Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Atharva Veda, were composed. Not only that, the emergence of kingship, territories, ruling, administration, nation, building kind of elements were developed. The emergence of kingship, one major development during this time. The people were given much emphasis on new religious forms and practices. Again, in this time, so many methods of religious belief systems were developed. Rigvedic time, women were respected for their roles in the society, such as mothers, wives, and domestic servants. So, because of the roles, responsibilities of women in Vedic time, all the women were highly respected because they are the mothers. That means they are the generation carriers and they are giving birth to the generations. They are the crucial for the human society. So mothers, wives, domestic servants, because of their role, women were respected. Rigveda 10:34-2 explains that women as Sahadharma Charini. That means what? Sahadharma. Saha means along with. Dharma means the law, the path. Charini means follower. That means like a woman, like a man, women also responsible for carrying out the right path, carrying out the right viswa, right belief, carrying out the right math or belief system. So, women considered as Sahadharma Charini. So, they are responsible to develop or to establish the religious belief systems. So, that aspect we can see in the Vedic time. So, that is the main idea here. Now, again, Rigveda 3:53, Sloka 12 talks about women as Grahapati. Grahapati means, any idea? South Indian languages have connectivity to the Sanskrit language. Any idea? Grahapati. Anyone?
Homemaker.
Grahapati. Home. They are the owner of the home. They are main person in the home. They were considered as a Grahapati. Nowadays also, women are taking much responsibilities in the constructing and establishing of homes and all. Well, Vedic time, they have these concepts. Rigveda chapter 5, section 43, sloka 3 mentions women as Vitush, which means wise and learned ones, and Vastrapusi, which implies skillful weavers. That means those days they used to weave to make the clothes and all, and also they used to educate the family by learning some systems. So women played an important role as a teachers in the home and also weavers in the home, and they took care the family members by putting much efforts. So they were identified as Vidus and Vastrapusi. Rigveda chapter 10, 85 section, 23 sloka talks about women as Yajamanis. That means owners. Women as owners. So again in Rigveda, other area that mentions that women as Patnis. Women as Patnis means wives and carry out the homely responsibilities. Other aspects such as Janani, that means mother who gives birth to second generation, and Sahapati, that means along with the husband, she is also very important person in the family. So all these aspects were connected to womanhood. Because of these aspects, we are studying women in Hinduism. That means Vedic time, women had much freedom, and women were regarded as very in a position. Friends, such a context, we can understand women played very important role in the development of the human society according to the Hindu sources and Hindu scriptures. Friends, as a theological students, as a Bible learners, as a followers of Jesus Christ, so other scriptures are giving such a kind of information to us as a pastors, as a head of the families, as a believers. We must give a much respect to the women, and we must encourage women to participate in the various dimensions of Christian ministry. So Kenneth G. Jisk, he was a scholar. He wrote one book. The book name is that the Rigveda, an anthology, argues that a woman named Gosha had composed approximately 26 hymns in Rigveda. That means they wrote some hymns, and we can see in Rigveda. That was a very positive side of women. Both scholars, namely Stephanie Jamieson and Joel Brereton, in their work, the Rigveda acknowledged that Gosha's unique position on as a female voice within the predominantly male domain of Vedic hymnology. That means in those days, men were completely controlling the society, men domination was there. In that context, these women like Gosha, they composed some hymns, and also they raised feminist voice against male domination society. They did a good job to defend womanhood in that particular society. That was the idea here. Hukum Rai, another scholar, discusses that the woman who wrote 26 hymn in Rigveda, representation will help the future generation of women in India. What he was telling, Gosha, what she has done in Vedic time, her activities, her action become a model for women in India, so that women can progress in their life by involving in certain areas. That's what Hukum Rai was just giving some kind of positive note from women's perspective. And again, coming to their gods in Vedic time, women goddesses were there. One goddess was namely Saraswati. Saraswati was Hindu goddess, revered for her association with knowledge, wisdom, music, and the arts. And most of you know, in the schools, there was a Saraswati puja. Every year, students has to do in the schools. You might be knowing what the idea mean here. There was a woman goddess who was responsible for wisdom, music, arts, and knowledge. That means all these elements are very, very important. All these elements are connected to feminine goddess. That means female was connected to these aspects. That means female or woman is very, very important. That is the idea over here. Name, that means Saraswati name, derived from Sanskrit, signifies Saras, that means essence, or pool of water. Vati means possessing. That means what? The main essence we can possess by these goddess. So that is the idea here. This Saraswati translating to she who possesses essence, she who flows, or she who has ponds. That means water always flows from one place to another place and carries life. Wherever water goes, there is a life. That is the idea. Wherever wisdom, knowledge, music, arts are there, life is there. So that is the idea. Saraswati presides over learning, education, and intellectual pursuits. Dear friends, see how women figure, women idea inculcated into the very, very important areas of human society. So that's how they gave much reverence to womanhood. Because of these goddesses, women had great reverence. That is the main idea here. And when we see Saraswati, her white attire, that means appearance, and lotus flower association symbolize purity, enlightenment, and spiritual attainment. So all the highly influential characteristics are attributed to goddess Saraswati. That means woman is important. That's what just ancient or Vedic time people used to see women in these perspectives. And in the schools, as I said, Saraswati worshipped by students. In the universities, Saraswati worshipped by scholars. In the other field, Saraswati worshipped by artists. That means these elements are very, very important to establish human society. Saraswati was responsible. So they used to give much reference to feminine goddess. That was the main idea. Vasant Panchami is a festival. Saraswati regarded as the mother of the world. Jagat Mata, some people called Saraswati was considered as a mother of the world. That means women venerated into high position. The source of all beings. Some people said, some people even called Saraswati as the source of all beings. That means Jagat Mata. See, women venerated into high position in the form of goddess. How? Because her association with very important aspects, areas in human life. Friends, within few minutes, I'm going to conclude our discussion. So, women in Hinduism, our subject. We just had a brief discussion about what is Hinduism. Then we came to three important periods of Hinduism. One is Vedic, one is pre-Vedic period. Second is Vedic period. In Vedic period also, we had different levels of time of periods. And after that, we came to the concept of feminine goddess. How feminine goddess was much influential, powerful in ancient time because of her attributes, because of her qualities, because of her influence in important section of human society. So women were venerated. Now coming to the third important period is Upanishadic period, and I would like to give some important aspects in this Upanishadic period, and I would like to close our class discussion within few minutes. Upanishadic period, time span 800 BC to 200 BC. The Upanishadic text, also called as Vedantas, that means end part of the Vedas. That's what I just telling here. They are also called as Vedanta, which are part of the Vedas. They explore philosophical and metaphysical questions about the nature of reality, the self, and the ultimate reality. When we see Upanishadic or teaching and literature, philosophical dimensions are there. Philosophical dimensions means thinking beyond our knowledge. That means searching truth in a logical manner, searching truth in a reasoning manner. That's what we call philosophical view. That means reasoning, logic are connected to search the reality. So Upanishads always gives philosophical, that means reasoning, logical dimensions to understand reality. Then again coming to the metaphysical aspects. Metaphysical means all the human life, creation, and aspect of God, aspect of salvation, all the areas, God, creation, salvation, human, soul, all these aspects are connected to metaphysics. So how we can understand God, how we can understand human soul, how we can understand human body, how we can understand nature, how we can understand salvation, all these areas falls into category of metaphysical. So Upanishadic teachings are providing these aspects. That's what here I wrote about the nature of reality, the self-Atman, and the ultimate reality, Brahman. The main content of the Upanishadic, how we can understand Upanishadic. Sat means what? To sit. Upa refers to what? Nearness. Ni means what? Completely. That means sit and learn with obedience. That's what the word Upanishadic teaching is all about. So Upanishadic teaching also gives ritualistic elements and diverse perspectives on reality. Upanishadic teachings, what Upanishadic teaching is giving? ritualistic elements. That means how can we worship? What are the important elements in rituals, in celebrations? Diverse perspectives. That means various perspectives, views concerning ultimate reality or Brahman or Paramatman. That kind of information we can get from Upanishadic teachings. And two more points I would like to bring to your notice. It was the period where the concept of dialogue and discussions were very much popular. In Upanishadic time, like a kind of Gurukul, like a kind of residential school where students will go, stay there, and gurus, teachers are there. They learn in mutual platform. Guru teaches, students learn. So Gurukul or a residential kind of asrama teaching system was started in Upanishadic period. Guru Shishya learning was the central point to this period. So friends, here I would like to conclude today's discussion. Maybe it is a vast subject and it is a kind of complexity in nature to understand all these things. You go and listen videos, and again, when we send material, read and find a space and search some important articles or some books and from sources, and I would like to share some of the material to you for your further reading and assignments, and you can have a better understanding while reading those things. So I would like to stop here. Are there any queries or questions to discuss, or if you have any kind of insights or exposure or any kind of thought or any kind of information, you can freely you can share, that is beneficial for each one of us. Now few minutes, now time 9:18, and we can go 5 minutes for discussion. If you have any queries, friends, time is for you, and if you have anything to say, you can share. Are you with me, friends?
Yes, sir. Sir, can we
Yes,
get
sir.
the Rek Azure Sama Dharvana books, sir? Can you give the website link, sir?
Sir, William Johnson, sir, and I'm not able to hear. Just your voice is breaking. And
Can you give the links for getting the Rek Azure Sama Adharvana Vedas website links, sir?
Okay. Those area, those things, yeah, okay. Just surely, just what are the available links and sources are there? Definitely, we will provide. Thank you for that concern and query.
Okay.
We appreciate it, Johnson, sir. Yeah. Okay, friends, as I said, Hinduism is like a complex religion and very difficult to understand. And